My guest today is Mr. Taylor Politis. He is an author and one of the founders of the WriteRI High School Short Story Competition. He's joining me today to talk about his career, how you can get involved in your local community, and as I mentioned, the WriteRI competition. Mr. Politis, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
So, I wanted to start off the interview today by talking about your career pathway. And to a high school audience, I know that there are a lot of students at Barrington High School who are really interested in the humanities, writing, those career pathways, but they're not just sure how to make it their profession. So, could you just explain how you turned writing into your career?
Yeah, I from a very young age was fascinated by history. So history and writing have been two of the major focal points of my interests. And I loved pursuing stories of history and then creating my own, sort of creating historical fiction. And I would write these stories and I would create towns. I grew up in Alabama, and I would create these imaginary towns in Alabama. I would map them out. I would design the houses. I would do the floor plans, all the people who lived in the houses. So I had this really rich imaginary world that I would begin to set stories in. But in junior high and high school, I always felt shy of telling people about it. I thought it was something not serious, something that was maybe silly or immature. And so I really hid that interest. Especially as I went to college, I thought, I have to think of a career, a real career. And so I pursued history as my undergraduate focus, and I did end up doing some graduate work in history, but that pull to tell stories never really let go of me. So I feel like, if at the age you're at and the other folks at Barrington High School are at, your interests are really forming, and the things that you're passionate about are sort of present and obvious to you. And so allowing yourself to follow those interests is my best advice. And if your interest is writing, is storytelling, then I think the first thing you do is you write stories. And there are a lot of great spaces to send out your work, to participate in a writing community, and to get acknowledged in the work you're doing. And that was why I started Write Rhode Island with people, Hester Kaplan and Diana Champa at School One. We really wanted to offer an opportunity for young people to see storytelling and fiction writing being valued, and create a space where young people could submit stories, both are encouraged and motivated to create stories and to submit them, so that, that sort of modeling and valuing of storytelling that I didn't see when I was younger or was shy about, we want to sort of change the culture around that, that valuation of fiction writing, which maybe
So,
people think is not a legit career, but
well, so my question would
yeah,
be, some people probably do think that that's not a legit career, but
right,
we've seen time and time again, it absolutely is. And
right.
your biggest advice to students who want to pursue this writing fiction, maybe even nonfiction, short stories, long form, is just write, follow your passions, and you submit at places, your writing will take you places.
That's right. I think that, yes, if you do the work and put it out in the world, you'll be amazed at the opportunities that open up for you. And I think that writing is a component of creative work, of work that I think we all have an urge and a need to tell stories. If it's just like calling up a friend and saying, you wouldn't believe what happened to me today, or really getting into disciplined, sort of professional narrative work. And I think that's right, that I think about fiction writing, but storytelling covers an immense range of genres. So poetry, playwriting, screenwriting, nonfiction, but also visual work. I teach at the Rhode Island School of Design, and it's amazing to me to see how the young people there come into my fiction workshops and find ways that that consideration of emotion and narrative technique has a direct application to the visual work they're doing. So practicing storytelling actually supports your ability to function in a range of spaces in your life. I think your ability to tell, to contemplate story, and to tell that story makes you a person who is more reflective and thoughtful, but also more effective in communicating with other people. And so no matter what job you want to do, you are better at it if you hone and develop those storytelling skills. And again, I think we all want to tell stories. And so allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to play in that space is really important.
So, in your view, storytelling, even if you don't want to be a writer, the ability to tell stories in better ways, frankly, makes you a better just person overall. Any career you want, any part of life, just the ability to convey your thoughts and your stories to others, or through writing, through even talking like this, perhaps, just
That's
makes
right.
you a better human.
Yes. And I think that there's sort of a top level of that, which is professional skills or effectiveness in interacting with other people. And so becoming a better storyteller, when we tell a story, we want to have an impact. We want to make people feel something or think something the way we feel and think it. And so there's a sort of a component of empathy, but that narrative effectiveness, I think, has a real professional application. And then that idea of being a better human being, that act of empathy, of not only sort of thinking about how we appeal to others to see the way we see them, but also the way we project ourselves into other experiences and look for ways to feel what that experience is like, opens our minds up and makes us think more broadly about our relationships with others, in a deeper way about our relationships with others, our place in the world, and our sense of connectedness with other people. And I think that absolutely does make us better human beings.
Absolutely. And we will get to the WriteRI component in just a minute. But I think WriteRI is a stepping stone for high schoolers who want to get better at storytelling to get into that. And we'll get deeper into WriteRI in just a moment. But before we get there, I wanted to talk about your involvement in the Rhode Island and Providence community, because I know you didn't grow up here. But I
Yeah.
think when this pandemic ends, hopefully, hopefully soon, hopefully by the summer, a lot of high schoolers will be looking to get back out there, get engaged in their community, get engaged with the public, and
Yeah.
really, build those connections to their neighborhood. So,
Right.
how did you do that when you first came to Rhode Island?
I had worked in finance in New York City for a long time, and I had always, as I said, wanted to pursue writing as a career. And at a certain point, I thought, I have to just do this. I have to give it a try. And so I left my job and I pursued a master's in fine arts and creative writing. And the novel that was produced in that program, which had been something I'd thought about for years, was sold to Simon and Schuster. And so it was a real dream come true experience. And at that point, I was looking for a place to move, to live. I was living on Cape Cod at the time, and I kept coming back to Providence. So I moved here about 10 years ago without knowing anyone. And it was really sort of a leap in the dark. But I had connections to Boston and New York and the Cape. And so I felt like it was well located. It also had a really deep sort of cultural community and I think it's a beautiful city. I think it's a city with incredible history. And I think it has these institutions, these cultural institutions that are really important and enrich the life of the city. And so the first thing I did was to join places like AS220, the Providence Athenaeum, the Providence Public Library, to become a sort of a regular there and get to know the people who work in the archives and the libraries and the programmers at all these places. And I just was awed by how welcoming and supportive and open the people of this community are. We're all looking for connection. You know, we're all looking to be understood and to be heard and to become a member of a community. And it again was striking to me how quickly I felt embraced and accepted into this cultural community here, which I think is a unique characteristic of our state. I think that to become a member of a community, you have to seek out the organizations. They're not going to seek you out. You have to go out into the world and open yourself up to connections, to get involved, to get active, to join clubs and organizations that align with your interests, and to be active in them, and to appreciate getting to know other people and the world. And I think that it's as simple as sort of, when we can, getting out of the house and doing stuff, being active.
And hopefully the hopefully near end of the pandemic will give us all the opportunity to get back out there, reconnect with our neighbors. And like you said, here in Rhode Island, it is a really unique culture, because you can go into any grocery store within 10 miles of your house, any park, and you're gonna
Like,
see someone you
right.
know. Exactly.
Always, always.
So in that, hopefully we could build these connections that you're talking about.
Yes,
And like you said,
totally.
you mentioned the public library, and public libraries are really a great place to start in making connections with your community, or your town hall. Here in Barrington, we've got the town
Yeah,
hall programs there. And at the public library, for any high schoolers that you want to get back out there and get back involved with your community. So I've been teasing it the whole time. Let's get back
mhm,
to the WriteRI.
yes,
The WriteRI competition, and the deadline is fast approaching. Could you just give me an
absolutely.
overview of what it is, what the
Yeah.
competition is, and the deadline?
So this is our fifth year. 5 years ago, Hester, Diana, and I banded together, and with the support of School One and Goat Hill, a writing group Hester, Ann Hood, and I formed, we created Write Rhode Island, a statewide short fiction competition for 7th through 12th graders. We invite everyone to write a work of short fiction, 2,500 words or less, and to submit it by our deadline of December 13th. So that's coming up, right, 10 days from now, maybe 9 days from now. So we urge everyone to get in the game and write a story, submit it. We have a team of volunteer readers who will read all the stories, get read twice. Then it will go to a finals round of judging, which Hester and I and other local writers participate in. From that pool of stories, we'll pick 20, 20, sorry, my props, 20 stories that will go into a print anthology. So we have the top 20 stories get printed. You'll be able to see your work in print. Of those 20 stories, we pick 4, which are the top stories, and each of those young writers will get a check for $100. And so there's a little money in it. There's some great sort of acclaim getting your work in print. These books will be given to your school, to you, your family. So those copies will be around, and you'll be also, again, hopefully as the world reopens, we'll be able to organize an award ceremony, usually at the Newport Art Museum, where we can gather all of these young writers and honor them for the great work they do. So yes, everyone, write a
So
story, see what happens.
yeah, this is a real fantastic opportunity to, like you said, start expressing yourself,
Mhm.
start writing. A great way to get the foot in the door if you're interested in it and you want to try it out. If you wouldn't mind elaborating a little bit, I'm not sure if you have these facts off the top of your head, but how many students in Rhode Island normally apply or submit their pieces of writing?
The past few years, we've gotten about 150 to 200 stories from across the state. There are only 3 communities, townships in Rhode Island who we have not had submissions from. So we feel like it's truly a statewide competition, and we get a nice turnout, and we're hoping to get those numbers up this year as well. We want always to have more people participating, more people involved in this, and so I've been doing a lot of class visits and talks with people about the program to help spread the word. So definitely thank you for sharing this and helping us spread the word.
Well, thank you for talking with us. WriteRI is a fantastic opportunity, and we've also touched upon just, if you're looking at starting career in writing, you're interested in,
Yeah,
or even, you know what, you're not focused on it, but you want to get better at telling stories. This is a great way to start off, and
absolutely.
maybe even try to win $100, right?
Who
Who
knows,
knows?
right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Mr. Politis, thank you so much for talking with me today. I really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
so much, Owen. It's been great to be here.
Good to have you.